Living in an apartment complex with my mom and younger brother in Los Angeles was a struggle, given the city's high cost of living. My mom worked 2 jobs to support us, which those who live in Los Angeles, especially in the city area, would understand. On my birthday, my mom gave me $50 to spend on whatever I wanted. A few blocks away from our apartment was a Walmart supercenter that had pretty much anything kids were interested in. This was around the time when the new GTA game came out, so my brother and I drove to the store to see if they had any copies left. My brother told me I could go off alone, but to come to the front of the store after I got what I wanted. The second we walked into Walmart, I instantly headed to the game section and thankfully got my hands on the game I wanted. As I was leaving the gaming aisle, I saw a man I had never seen before turn the corner and wave at me. He wore a white t-shirt, torn cargo shorts, and a hat that said Nirvana, which, for those who don't know, is the name of a very popular rock band. Growing up, I was always taught to be respectful to others, so I gave him a friendly nod as a way of saying hi. Only then did I realize that doing that was a big mistake. He approached me, reaching out his hand for a handshake. Almost immediately, the horrid smell of vomit hit me like a brick, but I tried not to make it obvious. In a raspy voice, he asked if I liked video games with a slight smile. I told him yes and pretended to look for another game as an extra precaution. I also put on my AirPods, but before I could do that, he mentioned that he had a son who also liked video games. I told him that was cool, wished him a nice day, and left the aisle, hoping he wouldn't follow me. I made my way to the front and looked back to see him beginning to follow me, though keeping a distance. I walked a bit faster and saw my brother waiting for me by the front. I told him to just go. At that point, the man had followed me to the front, but when he saw my brother, he casually looked away and acted as if he were looking at the office supplies on the shelves. Long story short, we left the store and got into the car to go home. My brother asked what was wrong in a very direct tone. I hesitated for a moment, gathering up the courage to say it when he looked out of the window and asked, "So, who's that?" I told him that the man had followed me throughout the store and was asking me weird questions. By this point, my brother knew what was going on. He put the car in reverse and drove out of the parking lot, but not before giving the man a dirty look as we passed him. While driving, he told me not to tell Mom and that if anything happened, I should tell him. When we got home, none of us spoke to my mom about it as we knew we'd get into trouble if she found out I had spoken to him. Unfortunately, however, the story doesn't end there. About a week later, on the last day of school, I had gone to the bus stop to wait for the bus. It was around 6:30 a.m., and I had been waiting for a good 30 minutes when I heard a strange noise from down the street. At the time, it was sort of foggy out, but as the noise got louder, I saw a red pickup truck approach me. The truck slowly rolled up to me, and when I saw the driver, I instantly got a sense of dread. In the driver's seat was the same man from Walmart, wearing that all too familiar Nirvana hat. He rolled down his window, gave me a smile, and winked as he drove away. Thankfully, the bus came soon after, and I couldn't have been happier to go to school. After that, I never saw him or his pickup truck again, and have kept silent about it ever since. We have since moved from Los Angeles due to my mom getting a new job offer, and I'm just glad I never saw him again. I've been working at Walmart for about 3 years now. It's not the best job, but it has decent pay and was enough to pay half the rent while my boyfriend paid the rest. I work and go to school full-time, so managing both my job and school was a hassle. One week, my managers, being the jerks that they were, gave me a week of closing shifts. This was really inconvenient as I had an 8 a.m. class on Wednesdays, but they didn't seem to care about that when I spoke to them. It was annoying to say the least, but I sucked it up and worked my shifts as scheduled. The night shifts usually consisted of us cleaning, putting things back on shelves, etc. One night during that week, it was 20 minutes before we closed, and the only ones in the store were me and my coworker Seth. Seth was counting up the registers while I was mopping the floors of all the aisles. At one point, while mopping, I went down one of the aisles and saw a man looking at the shelves in the arts and crafts section. This was odd, as Seth and I had done a sweep throughout the store to make sure everyone was gone, and we didn't see this man anywhere. I wasn't sure what it was, but I started to get this weird energy off him, and not the good kind. I politely told him that the store was closed and that he'd have to come back tomorrow. He looked at me and profusely apologized, telling me that he just had to pick out one more thing. After all, we had closed just a few minutes ago, so I made an exception and told him to get whatever he needed, but to make it quick. That being said, I finished cleaning and radioed Seth that we still had one last customer in the store. He said that it would be no problem and that he'd ring him up. With that out of the way, I decided to put the cleaning supplies away and took that time to use the restroom before I clocked out. The restroom in the front had been out of order, which meant that I had to use the one in the back of the store. I went into the bathroom, took off my vest, and did my business. About 30 seconds later, I heard the door to the bathroom open and someone step inside. For some reason, I thought it was Seth telling me that he was leaving or something, and with that, I called out his name. However, I didn't hear a response back. That's when I texted him, asking if he was by the back of the store. He instantly responded saying no, and that he was still waiting for that other customer. That's when I looked up and saw an eye staring at me through the crack of the stall. It's safe to say I screamed the loudest I ever had, pulled up my pants, and basically rammed the door, pushing the man to the ground. I ran to the front and told Seth everything, and he called the police. Thankfully, the police station wasn't too far from there, so they were able to have an officer over within 2 minutes. The police told us to get out of the store while they went inside, as they didn't know if he was armed. It turns out he actually had a 4-inch hunting knife from our outdoor section in his back pocket. God only knows what he was going to do with it. He was arrested, of course, and had actually done similar things before. He had been put in jail before but was released for good behavior. This time, I'm not sure how long he will be in jail, but I hope it's a while, as that was probably the scariest thing to ever happen to me. If something feels off or wrong about a situation, I strongly suggest that you always trust your gut. It may just save your life. I remember this Walmart near where I live that used to be open 24 hours. I'm not sure, but I think there were a lot of Walmarts that used to be open 24 hours. The ones that I've been to in recent years close at around 9 p.m. now, though. Maybe the reason is because of things happening like the story I'm about to tell you. This was several years ago, probably about 2015. I remember that I worked a job back then with all kinds of crazy hours. I never really knew when I would get off of work, and some nights were really late. One time I got off of work at close to 3:30 a.m. By the time I was done, I was exhausted but also really hungry. On my way home, I stopped at the 24-hour Walmart to see what they had. There were no restaurants nearby that were still open, and I was just going to go down the snack aisle and maybe find something to drink as well. When I got inside, I made my way over to the food. The store was almost completely empty. I only saw a couple of employees here and there. When I got to the snack aisle, I browsed around for a little bit. I wasn't really sure exactly what I was hungry for. I often have a hard time deciding what to eat or where to get food from. I browsed for maybe 5 minutes, and then I had this feeling like I was being watched. It seemed a little strange, and I looked around. When I looked to the far end of the aisle, I saw a man standing there looking towards me. He was a sort of tall and skinny guy wearing a black Adidas sweatshirt. He saw me looking at him, but he just kept standing there. He wasn't looking at anything on the shelves in particular. He looked away from me, but I thought the guy seemed really weird. I went back to looking at the food on the shelves and tried to make up my mind. I wandered into the next aisle over. There was more food in that aisle. I was there for no more than 10 seconds when I noticed the man creeping around the corner slowly, and then looking at me again from the end of the aisle. This was really strange. I grabbed a bag of trail mix and then made my way towards the back of the store along the side. Once I was at the far back corner of the store, I decided to walk back to one of the main walkways. But when I got there, The man was already standing there looking at me. I started walking all around the store, and the man seemed to be following me. He kept slowly walking around the store, trailing me wherever I went, and it was really frustrating. His face was almost expressionless the entire time, and he never spoke a word. Finally, I said, "Forget this," and I went to the checkout area. There was only one check lane still open, and I told the cashier that some guy had been following me around the store. The man did not follow me into the checkout, but instead wandered off into the clothing area that was across from the check lanes. She just kind of said, "Thanks for letting us know," and agreed that it was weird. I just wanted to get home, eat something, and go to bed. After I was done checking out, I walked down towards the exit doors. I was sure to scan around and make sure that the creepy guy was not once again following me. I was really happy to see that he wasn't. When I made it out the door, I walked through the parking lot to my car. My car was parked a little ways from the doors. It wasn't in the far back end of the parking lot, but it wasn't really that close either. The parking lot was mostly empty, but there were a few cars scattered all around, most of which I'm guessing were employees. Right as I was starting my engine, I looked up and noticed something. There was a man sprinting at full speed from the Walmart, headed straight for my car. It was the same guy that had been following me around. The way that he was running was so fast, like he was running for his life, but he wasn't running away from anything, he was running for me. There was a second or two where I was so confused that I just watched him. That was until I realized he was going to reach my car very quickly. Then I put my car into drive and got out of there, pulling away probably just a couple of seconds before he would have reached me. He kept running though, all the way until I was out of the parking lot and on the street. Then I was easily able to get away. I was really confused about who the man was, why he followed me around in the store, and why he had run full speed at me when I was in my car. The lesson I learned from this was to not go back to Walmart in the middle of the night. I'm a female, and the story took place about 4 years ago. I was at Walmart shopping. Back then, I went there all the time. On this day, I was only getting like 2 or 3 things. It was nighttime, and the store was somewhat busy. I was able to find what I needed pretty easily, and I spent a total of maybe 10 minutes inside the store. At one point, though, a man came up seemingly out of nowhere and introduced himself to me. He was about 5'8" and had grayish hair. He asked me my name and what I was shopping for. I saw that he didn't work there, and he came across to me as a little strange. I spoke with the man for maybe a minute, but I told him that I had to leave. He was sort of creeping me out. When I walked away, I headed straight for the checkouts. When I got there, I saw that there were only 2 other people in the self-checkout area that had maybe 6 registers. I went to one and began scanning my items. That's when I saw the man again. It looked as though he had followed me all the way from the aisle we were in together, and that aisle was on the whole other end of the store. When he got to the self-checkouts, he did not go to an open one. Instead, he walked straight up to me. Then he offered to pay for my items that I was getting. I told the man, no thanks, and I asked him why he wanted to do that. He said he was just trying to be nice, and I said thanks, but I would buy it for myself. Then the man walked away, but he wasn't buying anything at all. He just seemed to walk out and leave the store. I finished checking out and then walked away to leave. When I got outside, the first thing I saw was the man standing there. He said hi to me once again. It scared me, but I said hi. The man asked if I wanted to come over to his house. It was really awkward. I told him sorry, but no, and I started walking away. At first, the man took a couple of steps towards me and was walking with me, but after about 5 seconds or so, he stopped. He did not continue to follow me, and I got to my car and drove home. This experience was creepy and should have been enough for me not to go back to that Walmart, but I thought it wasn't that big of a deal. So this guy was a bit of a creep, so what? I continued to go back to that Walmart. I went there several more times with no problems. Probably about a month after this had happened, though, I was shopping at the same Walmart once again. I was doing some typical grocery shopping, and it was like 8 p.m. I was in one of the first food aisles of the store, and I noticed the man was there again. When I first saw him, I recognized him, but had actually forgotten about what had happened. I didn't know where I had seen him before at first, and it took my brain about 5 seconds to remember. I knew I needed to get out of there. As I was starting to walk away, I saw him look up and notice me. I left the aisle and walked as far away from him as I could, to the complete other end of the store. I still had a couple more things to get in the grocery department, but I wanted to wait until the man was gone. Running into him again was something I needed to avoid doing. In the meantime, I started just looking around at random items on the side of the store that I was now on. There were far fewer shoppers over there, and it was quiet. I slowly walked down a few aisles, just kind of taking my time. As I was doing so, I noticed the man again. He seemed to be heading in my direction, but was still really far away. I knew that I had to get out of there. I started walking away as fast as I could, and I went down different aisles to block myself from the man's view. I just set my basket with several items in it on the ground and then left the store. There was no way I would have been able to check out without the man catching up to me. Once I left the store, I drove back home. After that, I did not return to that particular Walmart for some time. I believe that it was a total coincidence that I saw the man again there that night, but when he saw me, he was going to try to talk to me again for sure. He must shop there a lot, and I'm just glad that since then I've never seen the guy. I used to work at a Walmart a couple of years ago. This was my strangest experience. I mostly worked overnights and would stock shelves. It was an easy job for me. I would start at like 9 p.m., and at first, the store would actually be open, but it would close only about 2 hours into my shift. There were never very many customers in that time anyway. A good number of us worked overnights because obviously, Walmart is a really big store. On this one night, I happened to be working in the pets and supplies aisle, which is in the back end of the store. I had been working in that general area, but not that exact aisle earlier in the night. By now, it was about 11:30 p.m. Our store closed at 11, so we had been closed for 30 minutes. As I was in the pet supply aisle, I was just stocking one of the shelves by myself. When the store closed, I would often put in headphones and listen to music while I worked, which is what I was doing. It helps work go by faster and easier for me. But out of nowhere, I saw something out of the corner of my eye. It appeared as though somebody had walked by. I looked over, but they were now gone. I assumed it to be one of my coworkers, and once a few minutes went by, I kept working. Then again, I saw somebody at the end of the aisle out of the corner of my eye. I looked over, and this time the person did not walk away. It wasn't one of my coworkers, though. It looked like just some guy that I had never seen before. When I looked at him, he disappeared behind the next aisle. I got up and walked over, and then looked down the next aisle. When I did, I saw the man disappearing out of that aisle and into the one after that. I took out my headphones and then radioed in on my walkie that I thought I saw somebody inside the store who wasn't supposed to be there. After that, I kept doing my work. About an hour later, I went to the back room. That area was pretty large in our store, but I was the only one back in that section at the time. When I was walking over there, I was sure that I saw the man again. I could see him hiding behind a box underneath one of the shelves. I didn't stare at him, and I acted like I never saw him. I was going to walk past, but I decided to turn around and then go the other way instead. He was maybe 30 feet away. When I began walking back, I heard noises behind me, even with my headphones in. I started running for the exit to go back into the sales floor. I heard footsteps behind me when I did. When I got there, I opened the door, and the man did not come out after me. I ran to find the nearest employee, which was Al, who was working in electronics overnight at the time. I told him that I saw a man in the back, and he decided to come back and see. I had a bad feeling, and I wondered if the guy was dangerous. We both went back there anyway. When we opened the door to the back, We heard the sound of another door opening. It was coming from one of the doors we had back there that opened up to the outside. They were rarely used. We walked in further just in time to see the guy walking out of the store and the door closing behind him. After that, he was gone. I still don't know how the man got inside. My only guess is he somehow avoided all employees and hid inside the store until after we had closed. I also wonder what he was going to do to me when he was hiding in the back and then followed me. Luckily, I quit that job not too long afterward.